You never told me you are this tight, the Alpha Heir said to his BL virgin lover as he gasps. The night storm arrived with no warning. Rain hammered the tall windows of the university library, turning the glass into shimmering silver sheets. The overhead lamps cast long, warm halos between the rows of shelves. It was late enough that the only people left were a few tired students and Leon, shelving books in the quietest corner he could find. His thin work shirt clung to his back from the humidity. A loose strand of hair tickled his cheek as he reached up the ladder, fingertips brushing the top shelf. He exhaled, finally sliding the last heavy volume into place. Just one more hour. He climbed down halfway. And then the library doors burst open with a thunderclap. A cold sweep of air rushed inside, carrying the storm with it. Every head turned. And Leon froze. A tall figure stepped through the doorway, dripping rain, shoulders broad, posture unshaken by the storm behind him. His clothes were dark, soaked enough to cling to every sharp line of muscle beneath. His eyes, those unmistakable molten steel eyes, scanned the room slowly. He had returned. Adriel Vargas. The Vargas clan's future Alpha Heir. 3 years gone. 3 years without a single word. Leon stood halfway on the ladder, breath caught somewhere between disbelief and panic. Adriel stopped in the center of the library. Lightning flashed behind him, framing his silhouette in white fire. And then, his gaze found Leon. Not by accident. Not by chance. But with the precision of someone who had walked through the storm for one purpose. Adriel's lips curved into a slow, unrestrained smile. Found you. The ladder wobbled beneath Leon's feet. He scrambled the rest of the way down, heart pounding too loudly for the quiet of the library. Students nearby whispered, recognizing the air instantly, but Adriel didn't spare them a glance. His attention was locked solely, fiercely, on Leon. When Leon stepped off the ladder, Adriel reached it first. One hand braced on the rung beside Leon's shoulder, effectively caging him in without touching. Leon swallowed hard. Up close, Adriel smelled of rain and cold wind and something faintly smoky, familiar enough to stir memories he had buried far too deeply. You're soaked, Leon blurted, trying to sound calm. Did you seriously walk through that storm? Adriel's smile tilted as droplets trailed down his jaw. I wasn't looking for shelter. He stepped closer. I was looking for you. Heat shot straight up Leon's neck, blooming across his cheeks. He took a breath to steady himself, but Adriel naturally followed his retreat, keeping their distance impossibly small. 3 years away and he still moved like he knew exactly how Leon would react. Leon forced his voice to steady. You can't just appear out of nowhere. Not after vanishing like that. I didn't vanish. Adriel's tone deepened, soft but unwavering. I left because I had to. And now? His eyes traveled over Leon with slow, intentional focus, stopping when Leon's breath hitched. Now I'm back. For you. Leon's fingers tightened around the book he had forgotten he was holding. His pulse thudded against his palms. Students stared. Whispered. The weight of their attention made Leon shrink inward, but Adriel shifted, placing himself subtly in front of Leon. A shield. A barricade. A silent claim. Leon's chest tightened. You're standing too close, he murmured. Adriel leaned in just enough that Leon could feel warmth radiating through the cold droplets on his clothes. No, he whispered. I'm standing exactly where I want to. The storm cracked outside, shaking the windows. The lights flickered. But neither of them moved. Leon met Adriel's gaze, and regretted it instantly. Because Adriel wasn't just looking at him. He was seeing him. Every emotion Leon tried to hide. Every word he never dared to speak. Every piece of him he had tried to bury. Why are you looking at me like that? Leon whispered. Adriel lifted his hand slowly, not touching, just hovering near Leon's jaw. Because you grew up, he murmured. And I wasn't here to see it. Leon's knees nearly gave out. He stepped back, needing space, needing air, and yet he didn't truly want either. Adriel, he whispered, why did you really come back? Adriel's expression softened, warmer, deeper, almost pained. But the heat in his eyes didn't fade. There are things you never let me say, he whispered. And I'm done holding them back. Leon's heartbeat stumbled. Adriel leaned in, just enough that his breath traced the shell of Leon's ear. I came back, he said, voice a low promise. For what I left behind. Leon's breath stopped. Then Adriel finished, softer, devastatingly certain. You. The storm raged outside. Leon's world tilted. And the library's silence shattered under the weight of one truth. Adriel Vargas hadn't returned by accident. He had returned for him. The storm passed by morning, but Leon still felt it inside him, a quiet thunder lingering beneath his skin. He tried to distract himself with classes, with shelving books, with anything that wasn't Adriel Vargas, but every attempt collapsed the moment he remembered the way Adriel had looked at him last night. Like he'd crossed a storm for him. Like he had come back just to stand in front of him again. Leon shook his head hard. Stop thinking about him. He always makes things complicated. The campus festival was ending, and Leon stayed behind to help clean up the garden terrace. It was peaceful. Warm lanterns swayed in the mild breeze, petals scattered across the stone path, and the fading scent of pastries lingered from the booths. He collected stray cups and napkins, humming faintly. Then he felt it. A presence. A familiar one, too familiar. Dominant. Impossible to ignore. Leon stiffened before he even turned. A shadow stretched across the path. Slow. Sure. Dangerous in the way only one person ever had been. Leon didn't need to look to know. Adriel was behind him. Working alone again? A voice rumbled. Leon closed his eyes briefly. Why does his voice sound like he's standing right against my spine? He turned, and there he was, Adriel Vargas in broad daylight, wearing a fitted black jacket over a white shirt, sleeves pushed up, hair slightly tousled by the breeze. His eyes were fixed on Leon with that same unblinking intensity. Leon dropped the trash bag by accident. Adriel, shouldn't you be? I don't know, meeting your clan? Or talking to the council? Doing Heir things? Adriel stepped forward. They can wait. Leon's chest tightened. Adriel was standing closer again, close enough that Leon could see the faint scar near his collarbone, the way his shirt clung to the shape of him, the way his eyes kept drifting to Leon's mouth before returning to his face. Leon swallowed. Why are you here? Adriel studied him quietly for a long moment, letting the question settle between them. Then, I'll make this simple. He reached into his coat, pulling out a small black velvet pouch embroidered with silver threads. Leon frowned. What is that? Adriel held it out. The council ordered me to select an omega for the succession ritual. Leon's heartbeat skipped painfully. He forced a smile, the brittle kind that hid everything. Well, congratulations. I'm sure they gave you a whole list. You don't need to tell me. I chose you. Leon's breath vanished. He stared at Adriel, waiting for the punchline that didn't come. You chose me? Leon managed to whisper. Yes. Leon nearly stumbled back. Adriel followed, closing the gap, his jaw tense but his eyes unbearably gentle. You're joking, Leon whispered. Does it look like I'm joking? Leon's heartbeat roared in his ears. Adriel, I'm not. I mean, you know I'm not. He struggled to say it. Too inexperienced. Too ordinary. Too fragile compared to what the clan expected. I'm not suitable, he forced out. I'm not even. I've never. His voice cracked with embarrassment. Adriel stepped closer until Leon's back brushed the ivy-covered wall. His voice dropped. I know. Leon's breath hitched. Adriel wasn't mocking him. He wasn't judging. He was stating it like something precious. Leon, he continued, softer now, I know you're inexperienced. I know everything about you. And none of it changes what I want. Leon felt heat bloom across his cheeks. But there are omegas trained for rituals, Leon protested. Beautiful ones. Ones with standings. Ones who wouldn't embarrass you in front of your clan. Adriel's jaw tightened, not in anger but in something far more dangerous. He lifted his hand, hesitated for a second, then gently tilted Leon's chin upward with his fingertips. Leon's knees nearly gave way. None of them, Adriel said quietly, are you? The words hit harder than they should have. Leon felt his heart stumble in his chest. Adriel? I didn't come back for politics, Adriel whispered. I didn't come back for the council or the clan. He leaned closer, voice brushing the shell of Leon's ear. I came back because the bond between us never broke. Leon's breath trembled. That's impossible, he whispered. Adriel reached for Leon's wrist and his thumb brushed the skin gently. A faint glow pulsed beneath Leon's skin, soft, silver, warm like a heartbeat. Leon gasped. The matching glow flickered on Adriel's wrist. We're compatible, Adriel murmured. Leon's world stilled. No, that can't be. Perfectly, Adriel said. Leon felt the warmth of Adriel's breath. The closeness. The weight of a destiny he never asked for. The air between them vibrated with tension. Thick, hot, breathless. Leon whispered, Adriel, why me? Really? Adriel leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. Because no other bond has ever made my heart react like this. Leon's pulse thundered. Adriel's forehead touched his, gentle, reverent, devastating. Choose me back, Adriel whispered. And Leon didn't know if his heart would survive the answer. Leon had been inside wealthy homes before, but nothing prepared him for the penthouse that belonged to Adriel Vargas. The elevator opened into a private floor, and Leon stepped out slowly, feeling as though he had walked into another world. The room was dimly lit by warm, gold lamps. Floor-to-ceiling windows displayed the entire city glittering beneath the night sky. Rain droplets still streaked the glass from the earlier storm. But none of it compared to the way Adriel looked at him. As if he was the center of the view. Come in, Adriel said softly. Leon hesitated at the threshold, hugging his bag to his chest. This is way too elegant, he muttered. I feel like I'm stepping into a crime scene by mistake. Adriel chuckled, deep, warm, a low sound Leon felt more than heard. You're not a suspect, Adriel said, taking Leon's bag gently from his hands. You're my guest. Guest. The word landed too heavily on Leon's heart. He walked inside, eyes sweeping over the minimalist but expensive-looking interior. A soft beige sofa. Dark polished wood. Silver accents. It felt like a place built to intimidate, but Adriel somehow made it less overwhelming simply by being near him. You live here alone? Leon asked quietly. For now. Adriel stepped closer. But that can change if you say yes. Leon's pulse stuttered. If I say yes to the ritual? To being by my side, Adriel corrected gently. To letting me protect you. Support you. Choose you. Leon looked away, cheeks heating. He felt too ordinary for this place. Too inexperienced for someone like Adriel. Too fragile for the expectations of an entire clan. Sit, Adriel said, guiding Leon to the kitchen island. Let me make you something warm. You cook. Leon blinked. Only for people I care about. Leon's heart nearly burst out of his chest. Adriel prepared tea, not from a machine but by hand, deliberately choosing a blend Leon used to like when they were teenagers. Leon stared at his back, at the way his shoulders moved, at how effortlessly he seemed to fit into the space. And then it hit him. Adriel really had paid attention to him. He had always paid attention. When he set the cup in front of Leon, Leon's hands trembled slightly. Thank you, he whispered, embarrassed by how small his voice sounded. Adriel pulled out a chair but didn't sit. Instead, he leaned his hip against the counter beside Leon's seat, too close, too warm, his presence swallowing the room. You're nervous? Adriel said softly. Leon's lips parted. A little. Adriel brushed a drop of tea from Leon's lip with his thumb before Leon could react. The touch was feather-light, but Leon's breath caught violently. Adriel's gaze darkened at Leon's reaction. I won't lie, Adriel said, voice low. I miss seeing you react like that. Leon looked down, cheeks burning, fingers clenching around the teacup. Stop saying things like that, he mumbled. Why? Adriel leaned closer, breath brushing Leon's cheek. It's the truth. Leon's chest tightened. This was too much. Too close. Too intense. Adriel, what do you want from me? Leon whispered, heart pounding hard enough to hurt. Adriel didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached out, slowly, giving Leon every chance to pull back, and cupped Leon's cheek gently. Leon froze, breath trembling. I want, Adriel said finally, what we were never allowed to finish. Leon swallowed hard. That was years ago, he whispered. Years don't erase what's real. Leon's eyes widened. Adriel's forehead touched his. And for a moment the world went quiet. You don't need experience, Adriel murmured. You don't need to be anything other than who you are. I'll guide you through everything. Leon felt warmth spread through his chest, not just from the words but from the honesty behind them. You're not obligated to choose me, Adriel continued. I won't force your hand. But if you say yes, it won't be for the clan. It'll be for us. Leon bit his bottom lip, struggling to think clearly with Adriel so close, his hand warm against his cheek. Adriel? His voice broke softly. How can I not be scared? Adriel's eyes softened. Then let me be the one thing you're not scared of. Leon's breath stuttered. Seconds stretched. Adriel leaned in, slow, deliberate, giving Leon every moment to back away. Tell me to stop, he whispered. Leon didn't. Their lips met, soft at first, testing, trembling, then deeper, fuller, as if 3 years of distance cracked open in a single breath. Leon clutched Adriel's shirt, overwhelmed by the warmth, the ache, the tenderness hidden beneath Adriel's strength. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. Adriel brushed his thumb across Leon's lower lip. "If tonight is too much," he murmured, "tell me. I'll stop here." Leon's heart pounded. He wasn't sure he could even speak. He rested his forehead against Adriel's chest, breathing in the warmth, the scent, the comfort he hadn't realized he'd missed so painfully. "I trust you," Leon whispered. Adriel exhaled shakily, as if those words were the single thing holding him together. He held Leon close, arms wrapping around him with a gentleness that contradicted every powerful line of his body. "Then stay," Adriel whispered against Leon's hair. "Just stay tonight." Leon nodded. Adriel pressed a soft kiss to his forehead. The lights dimmed. The room grew still. And when Adriel guided him toward the bedroom, slowly, carefully, with a reverence that made Leon's chest ache, the world seemed to fade into warm, safe darkness. Leon woke slowly. Not because of sunlight. Not because of an alarm. But because of warmth. He lay in a bed that wasn't his, in sheets far too soft, smelling faintly of sandalwood and rain. His cheek rested on a firm shoulder that rose and fell in the steady rhythm of someone deeply asleep. "Adriel." Leon stiffened instinctively. He remembered the way Adriel had guided him here last night, not forceful, not hurried, but with a gentleness that contradicted the entire image of an alpha heir. He had said stay and Leon had. And now, Leon was in Adriel's arms. Actually in his arms. His face heated instantly. He lifted his head slightly. Adriel's arm tightened around his waist. "Don't," Adriel murmured, voice low and still husky with sleep. "Just stay a little longer." The sound of his voice, raw, unguarded, sent a shiver straight through Leon. "You're awake," Leon whispered. Adriel's eyelids didn't open yet. But his thumb brushed a slow line along Leon's hip, gentle, reassuring. "I've been awake," he said. "I just didn't want to let go." Leon's heart tripped. He swallowed hard, trying to slip away without causing a scene. But Adriel finally opened his eyes, and the moment he did, Leon forgot how to breathe. There was something unfiltered in that gaze. Something claiming. Something hungry but patient. And it was all aimed at him. "I shouldn't be here," Leon whispered. Adriel tilted his head on the pillow. "Then why didn't you leave?" Leon froze. Adriel's fingers brushed the side of his neck, tracing the faint glow beneath the skin, the bond mark that had flickered alive last night. Leon shivered under the touch. "Leon," Adriel murmured, "look at me." Leon didn't want to. He was too overwhelmed, too aware of the warmth of Adriel's body beneath the sheets, the closeness, the way their legs were tangled. But he lifted his eyes anyway. Adriel's breath hitched. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air itself seemed to hum with a quiet charge. "You're nervous?" Adriel said softly. Leon nodded. "You're intense?" Leon whispered back. Adriel's lips curved faintly. "Only with you." Leon tried to shove the blanket aside. "I need to get up. And breathe. And maybe leave the country." Adriel caught his wrist gently, pulling him back down. "Leon." His voice was firm in only the softest way. "Last night was nothing you need to run from." Leon's face burned. "And nothing happened." Adriel chuckled under his breath, a deep, rich sound that made Leon bury his face in the pillow in mortification. "No," Adriel agreed. "Nothing happened." His fingers brushed Leon's jaw. "But the way you clung to me." His voice dropped lower. "You'd think something did." Leon kicked him on instinct. Adriel laughed again, and suddenly the tension softened, turning warm instead of sharp. He sat up slightly, pulling Leon upright with him. The city lights still glowed outside, reflecting off the glass and casting soft shadows on Adriel's bare shoulders. Leon's breath stuttered. "Adriel," he whispered, "I'm not used to all of this." Adriel brushed Leon's cheek with knuckles warm from sleep. "I know," he murmured. "I'm not expecting you to be." Leon felt his chest tighten. He didn't know what part of Adriel was real. The heir? The alpha? The boy he once knew? Or the man sitting in front of him now, looking at him like he was something precious? Adriel leaned closer, slowly, giving Leon time to pull away. His hand slid around the back of Leon's neck, gentle but sure. Leon's breath caught in his throat. "I'm not going to rush you," Adriel whispered. "I told you before. I'll go at your pace." Leon nodded shakily. Adriel exhaled, brushing his forehead against Leon's. "But Leon?" His voice dropped, soft but stunned. "You never told me you were this." Leon's pulse hammered. Adriel drew back just enough to meet his eyes fully. This tight with your feelings. His voice was low, reverent. You hold them in so hard your whole body trembles trying to contain them. Leon's cheeks flared bright. I'm not. Adriel smiled, not teasingly but with something impossibly fond. It makes me want to be gentle with you, he murmured. More gentle than I've ever been with anyone. Leon hid his face in his hands. Stop saying things like that. Adriel's hand slid to Leon's waist, anchoring him softly. I won't, he replied. Not when it's true. Leon trembled, a full-body reaction he couldn't control. Adriel saw it, felt it, and held him closer, not taking advantage, just supporting him through the tidal wave of emotion. Outside, the storm clouds cleared, letting moonlight spill across the room. Inside, Leon felt something dangerous and warm unfurl in his chest, a feeling he had buried for 3 years. A feeling that, in this moment, was no longer possible to deny. Adriel pressed a soft kiss to the top of Leon's head. Let the world wait, he murmured. Just stay with me a little longer. Leon nodded. And for the first time that night, he didn't feel afraid of the closeness between them. Leon woke to a faint scent. Warm. Comforting. A bit smoky, a bit sweet. He blinked slowly, realizing the pillow he'd been using was Adriel's arm. Again. He jerked slightly, embarrassed, lightning shooting through him. But Adriel didn't tighten his embrace this time. He wasn't there. The sheets beside Leon were still warm, the faint impression of Adriel's body visible in the mattress. Leon sat up carefully. The penthouse was quiet, except for soft sounds from the kitchen. A gentle clatter. The low hum of music playing somewhere faintly. Leon stood, wincing at the emotional soreness more than anything else. He padded across the floor, wearing the oversized shirt Adriel had insisted he borrow after his got damp from the storm and nerves. It hung off his shoulders, swallowing him whole. He tugged it tighter around himself. Why does it feel like wearing him? He paused in the doorway of the kitchen. Adriel stood with his back to him, hair messy from sleep, sleeves rolled up, shirt slightly loose at the collar. He moved with ease, flipping something in a pan, the motion fluid and practiced. Leon blinked hard. You cook? He muttered without thinking. Adriel turned, startled just enough for Leon to catch it. His eyes instantly softened at the sight of Leon in his shirt. Good morning, Adriel said quietly. As if the morning itself treated him differently because Leon was in it. Leon wanted to hide in the oversized collar. A morning, he mumbled, rubbing his eyes. I didn't mean to interrupt. You didn't. Adriel walked over, placing a hand on Leon's back as if it were instinct. I was trying not to wake you. Leon felt himself flush. I can't believe I stayed the night. Adriel's thumb made slow circles against his spine, unconscious, natural, devastating. I can, Adriel murmured. Leon swallowed. He didn't know how to respond. He didn't know how to breathe with Adriel touching him so casually. Adriel stepped back only when Leon seemed ready to faint from embarrassment. Sit. He gestured to the island. Food's almost ready. Leon obeyed, climbing onto the stool. His feet dangled slightly. Adriel hid a smile when he saw. Leon noticed and scowled. Stop that. Can't help it. Adriel placed a plate in front of him. You're cute in my clothes. Leon's face lit up dangerously hot. Adriel. It's just the truth. Leon took a shaky bite to distract himself, and immediately froze. This is good. Really good. He blinked again. Wait. Are you actually a good cook? Adriel leaned back against the counter, crossing his arms and watching Leon far too closely. For you? Yes. Leon choked on air. He coughed violently until Adriel handed him water while rubbing gentle circles on his back. You need to stop saying things like that, Leon gasped once he recovered. And you need to stop reacting like every word is a kiss, Adriel replied calmly. Leon nearly slid off the chair. Then the words properly hit him. What? Adriel looked away for the first time, jaw tightening slightly. Your reactions are hard to ignore. Leon's heartbeat fluttered up to his throat. He didn't know what to do with this information. He didn't know what to do with Adriel. As the silence settled, Adriel turned serious. Leon. Leon looked up. Adriel leaned closer, bracing his hands on either side of Leon on the counter. Not touching him, but caging him in a way that made Leon's breath thin. I need you to understand something. Leon nodded slowly. Adriel's voice softened. Last night, everything that happened, everything we said, it was real. Leon's throat tightened. Yeah, he whispered. I didn't think you were lying. It's not that, Adriel murmured. I mean you. Leon blinked. Me? Adriel lifted a hand, brushing Leon's cheek lightly with his knuckles. You didn't push me away. You didn't run. He paused. You let yourself lean on me. Leon felt tears prick unexpectedly. He looked down, voice small. I was scared. I know. Adriel tilted Leon's chin up gently. But you still stayed. Leon swallowed hard. I didn't want to leave. Adriel exhaled shakily, the confession hitting him harder than either expected. Before either could speak again, the elevator pinged. Leon nearly fell off the stool. Adriel's expression darkened instantly, shifting from warm to cold in a heartbeat. Protective. Alert. The elevator doors opened. A tall, impeccably dressed Omega stepped out, elegant, poised, with long silver hair and sharp eyes that gleamed the moment they landed on Adriel, then narrowed when they saw Leon wearing Adriel's shirt. Adriel, the Omega greeted smoothly. You didn't tell me you had company. Leon's stomach twisted. Adriel's jaw clenched visibly. I don't recall inviting you, Adriel said, voice ice. The Omega's lips curved faintly. I simply wanted to check if the rumors were true. Leon froze. Rumors? The Omega's gaze slid over Leon slowly, assessing, judgmental, cold. So they are. Their smile sharpened. You brought home him? Leon's fingers tightened on the edge of the counter. Before he could shrink, Adriel stepped forward in a single protective motion, partially shielding Leon with his body. Watch your tone, Adriel said softly, a dangerous softness. You don't get to speak about him that way. Leon stared at Adriel's back, at the protectiveness radiating from him like heat. The Omega blinked, surprised. Then their gaze cooled further. So it's true, they murmured. The heir has chosen a nobody. Leon flinched. Adriel didn't move. He's not a nobody, Adriel said calmly, but with enough steel to cut through concrete. He's the one I chose. Leon's breath caught. The Omega's eyes widened, just slightly, then hardened into polite fury. I see. They stepped back toward the elevator, posture stiff. Then I'll inform the council that the heir's mind is clouded. They'll be interested. The elevator doors closed. Leon let out a shaky breath, head spinning. Adriel turned immediately, hands cupping Leon's shoulders. Are you okay? Leon nodded, but his voice failed him. Adriel exhaled, relief and anger tangled together. I'm sorry, he murmured. You shouldn't have been exposed to that. Leon shook his head. It's not your fault. Adriel pulled him into a careful embrace, hands slipping behind Leon's head, holding him close but not crushing him. It is, Adriel whispered fiercely. Because you're mine to protect. Leon's heart stuttered. He buried his face in Adriel's chest, overwhelmed. Adriel, am I really what you want? Adriel's voice was low, honest, unshakable. You are exactly what I want. Leon trembled, not from fear but from the weight of being wanted like that. The morning light softened. The city glowed quietly outside. And in the kitchen, wrapped in Adriel's arms, Leon felt something he hadn't felt in years. Safe. Wanted. Chosen. The Vargas clan estate looked more like a fortress than a home. Tall stone walls. Iron gates etched with ancient family sigils. Rows of guards in crisp uniforms. And the air, sharp, heavy, strict, already tasted of judgment. Leon had never been here before. He stood outside the main hall as Adriel spoke to the elders inside. He wasn't allowed to enter. Non-formal Omegas aren't permitted, the guard had said coldly. Leon hugged his elbows and waited on the marble bench, trying not to stare at the ornate sculptures or the enormous chandeliers dripping with crystal. Everything felt too heavy. Too expensive. Too wrong for someone like him. I shouldn't be here, Leon thought. Not as an Omega. Not as Adriel's choice. And definitely not wearing Adriel's spare jacket, which smelled faintly like him and made Leon's heart flutter every time he breathed. He tried to steady his nerves. Inside the main chamber, the voices grew loud enough that Leon involuntarily leaned forward to listen. Inside the hall, Adriel's POV, Leon overhears. An untrained, inexperienced Omega, Elder Markin spat. This is the heir's judgment? Adriel's jaw clenched. My judgment, he said evenly, is to choose the person whose bond is compatible with mine. Elder Yvette snorted. Bonds can be manipulated. Omegas like him latch onto alphas easily. Adriel's voice dropped, dangerous. Leon is nothing like that. Leon, Elder Markin repeated with disdain. An ordinary student. A library worker. A nobody. Adriel slammed his palm against the council table so hard the entire hall fell silent. Do not call him that. The echo shook the walls. Leon outside felt it like a blow to his chest. Elder Yvette leaned forward. Adriel, she said with forced calm, you are the future head of this clan. Your partner must strengthen our bloodline. He must be trained, composed, socially groomed. Your chosen Omega must represent us. Adriel's eyes turned cold. You want someone strategic. I want someone real. Markin scoffed. That boy cannot give you heirs, stability, or political alliances. He is weak. Adriel's voice sharpened like a blade. I don't need an Omega who can win battles for me. I need someone whose heart matches mine. The elders exchanged looks. Your emotions blind you, Elder Yvette said. Affection is temporary. Duty is forever. Adriel's fists curled. My choice is final. It is not, Elder Markin snapped. We will request the High Council to intervene. They will overrule you. They will declare the bond invalid. Adriel's expression shattered into pure fury. You wouldn't dare. We will, the elder cut him off. For the clan. Leon felt his blood turn to ice. The High Council. The ultimate authority. If they intervened, Adriel could be forced to reject him. Elder Markin's voice turned cruelly amused. You should be grateful, Adriel. A boy like him should never have been allowed near a future alpha heir to begin with. Silence. A long, suffocating silence. And then, Adriel spoke. Quietly. Painfully. As though each word cost him everything. Leon is important to me. Yvette shook her head. Affection is a luxury, Adriel. You will choose another Omega. Someone suitable. Markin nodded in finality. This is not personal. It is clan law. Outside the hall, Leon. Leon had stopped breathing. His nails dug into his palms hard enough to sting. His heart throbbed painfully with each word he overheard. They're right, he thought, trembling. He was nothing compared to what Adriel needed. He didn't have training, social standing, political usefulness. He wasn't even sure he could stand confidently in a room with all these powerful people. Adriel deserved someone strong enough to guard his future. Leon wasn't that person. His eyes stung. He stood quietly and slipped away from the bench, each step soft, silent, guilt-heavy. He grabbed Adriel's jacket from around his shoulders, folding it gently and placing it where Adriel would easily find it. I'm sorry, he whispered to no one. I'm holding him back. I shouldn't be part of this. He didn't look back as he walked toward the exit. The guards glanced at him but said nothing, just watched with unreadable eyes as Leon disappeared down the long marble corridor. When he reached the gate, he paused, whispering into the cold air. This is better for him. His breath trembled. And maybe, better for me too. He stepped out. The iron gates closed behind him with a loud, heavy clang that felt like a final goodbye. Inside the hall, Adriel realizes Leon is gone. Adriel stormed out of the council chamber, fury simmering under his skin. He needed to find Leon. Needed to reassure him. Needed to tell him that the elder's words meant nothing. But when he reached the waiting area, it was empty. Leon's presence was gone. His scent faded. The air felt cold. Adriel stood frozen. Then he saw the jacket. Folded. Left carefully on the bench. And his heart dropped. Leon? He looked around, nothing. He sprinted toward the entrance, panic sharp and violent. Leon. But the stone corridor echoed with nothing but his own voice. He reached the gate, breath desperate, but the guards shook their heads. He left, sir. Adriel's chest tightened painfully. Where? The guards exchanged a glance. He didn't say. Adriel cursed under his breath, fists shaking, the bond mark on his wrist burning painfully, as if responding to Leon's distance. He didn't hesitate. He ran. Out the gates. Into the night. Chasing the only person he was never willing to lose again. The city had never felt so big. Leon ran without knowing where he was going. Past the tram stops. Past the cafes closing for the night. Past the glowing street lamps flickering through the mist. He just kept moving. If he stopped, he would feel everything. And he couldn't, not yet. Not when his chest felt like it was being crushed by the words he'd overheard in the council hall. He deserved someone suitable. Someone stronger. Someone not me. By the time he reached the old city bridge, the sky had darkened into a deep blue, lit only by the glow of lights reflecting on the river below. Leon stopped at the railing, breathing hard. The wind was cold, but it wasn't enough to numb the ache in his chest. His fingers clutching the cold metal, he whispered to the water. Adriel? I really wasn't supposed to be part of your world. His voice cracked. And now, I'm taking myself out of it. He squeezed his eyes shut. I'm sorry. Across the city, Adriel. Adriel was running. Storming through streets. Cutting through allies. Ignoring the shouts of guards who chased after him, trying to keep up. His heart hammered violently, the bond mark on his wrist burning like fire. Leon's absence felt like a hollow wound under his ribs. "Where are you?" he panted, scanning the road with frantic eyes. Every second that passed worsened the panic clawing inside him. "Leon." His voice echoed through the narrow streets. When he reached the main boulevard, he stopped dead in his tracks, his head whipping toward the faint scent of Leon carried by the wind. His chest tightened in hope. He ran toward it. Toward the bridge. Back on the bridge, Leon. Leon hugged himself, fighting the cold. He tried to breathe. Tried to tell himself he did the right thing. But the words wouldn't stick. His throat ached. "What was I thinking?" he whispered to the water. "I let myself believe that someone like Adriel, someone powerful, important, could actually want someone ordinary like me." His voice trembled harder. "I'm tired of hurting him." A tear fell onto the railing. "I'm tired of hurting myself." A sharp gust of wind blew across the bridge. Leon shivered, the oversized sleeves of Adriel's shirt brushing his fingers. He froze, realizing he had forgotten to return the shirt. The one that smelled like Adriel. The one that made his heart twist. He laughed weakly, wiping his tears. "Great job, Leon. You can't even walk away properly." "Then, Leon." His breath caught. The voice came from the opposite side of the bridge, breathless, desperate, raw. Leon turned. And there, under the streetlight, chest heaving and hair wind-tousled, stood Adriel Vargas. His eyes locked onto Leon instantly. And something in Adriel's expression. It wasn't anger. It wasn't disappointment. It was fear. Relief. Pain. All tangled together. He took a shaky step toward Leon. "Why did you run?" Adriel breathed, voice cracking. "Leon, why would you leave without saying anything?" Leon's lips trembled. I didn't want to make things harder for you." Adriel closed the distance in long, urgent strides. "Harder?" he repeated, disbelief bleeding through his voice. "Leon, you're the only thing keeping me from destroying everything around me when I'm angry or scared." Leon looked away. "You heard what they said," he whispered. "You heard what they think of me." Adriel's face twisted, pain first, then fury, then something rawer. "I don't care what they think." "You should." Leon's voice broke. "You're the heir. Your choice isn't just about you. Your entire clan." "Stop," Adriel snapped. Leon flinched. Adriel immediately softened, stepping closer, raising a hand to touch Leon's cheek. Then hesitated, giving him room to pull away. Leon didn't. Adriel brushed a tear from his cheek with the gentlest touch Leon had ever felt. "Leon," he whispered, "you're not listening to me." Leon swallowed. Adriel took a deep breath. "Those elders, they don't get to decide who I love." Leon froze. His heart stuttered violently. "WH what?" Adriel stepped closer until their foreheads almost touched. "I love you," Adriel said, voice trembling, not weakly but honestly, painfully. "I have since before I left. Since before I even understood what a bond was." Leon's breath hitched. Adriel continued, voice breaking open. "And these 3 years, every day I wasn't with you, every day I couldn't tell you what you meant to me." He exhaled shakily. "It was torture, Leon." Leon's eyes filled again. "Adriel? You leaving that hall, leaving me?" Adriel's voice cracked raw. It felt like my whole world collapsed. Leon clutched the railing behind him, overwhelmed. I didn't want to be the reason you lost everything." Adriel shook his head fiercely. "I would lose 1,000 clans before I lose you." Leon felt his knees weaken. Adriel stepped forward and finally, gently, pulled Leon into his arms. Leon collapsed against his chest, trembling. "I'm sorry," Leon whispered, voice muffled against him. "I just didn't want to ruin your future." Adriel held him tighter. "You are my future." Leon let out a broken sound, half sob, half laugh, as Adriel cupped his face and forced him to meet his eyes. "Leon," he whispered, thumb brushing his cheek, "you hold on to your feelings so tightly it hurts to watch." Leon blinked through tears. Adriel leaned his forehead to Leon's. "You never told me you were this tight, this guarded, this terrified of being loved." Leon's breath hitched, hot, sharp. "And I want to be the one," Adriel whispered, "who loosens all that fear." Leon's tears fell freely now. "Adriel?" Adriel's voice softened to a trembling promise. "Come home with me." Leon's fingers curled into Adriel's shirt. "Only if you promise I won't hold you back." Adriel tilted his face up and kissed him. A slow, deep, shattering kiss. When they broke apart, Adriel whispered against his lips. "You don't hold me back." His thumb stroked Leon's cheek. "You're the one thing that keeps me moving forward." Leon finally nodded, breath trembling. "Take me home." Adriel's expression crumpled with relief. He wrapped Leon in his arms, holding him like something sacred. "Always," he whispered into Leon's hair. "I'll take you home. Always." The city lights glowed around them. The night wind calmed. And on that bridge, under the dim lamps and the fading storm clouds, the bond between them sealed itself deeper than any elder or clan could ever break. The elevator chimed softly as it reached the top floor. Leon stood beside Adriel, fingers woven with his, slightly nervous, though Adriel's thumb stroking the back of his hand kept grounding him. The doors opened. Warm lighting. A quiet penthouse. Calm air. "Welcome home," Adriel murmured. Leon's heart fluttered strangely at the word home. The last time he was here, everything had been chaos, emotions spilling all over the place, misunderstandings, pain. Now, it felt different, safer, warmer. Like stepping into a space carved gently around his shape. Adriel didn't let go of his hand as he guided him inside. "Sit," he said softly. "I'll get you something warm." Leon nodded and sank onto the long couch, still wearing Adriel's shirt, the one he never got to return properly. He inhaled. It still smelled like him. He pulled his knees up and wrapped the soft blanket around himself while Adriel moved around the kitchen quietly. No tension. Just domestic calm. "Here," Adriel said minutes later, handing him a mug. Leon blinked. "Hot chocolate." "It's what you drink when you're sad," Adriel said matter-of-factly, sitting beside him. "As if I would forget." Leon's chest tightened. He sipped it, warmth spreading through him. "Thank you," he whispered. Adriel leaned back against the sofa, watching him carefully. "You don't have to thank me for taking care of you." Leon trembled at the softness of his voice. "I'm still scared," Leon admitted suddenly. "Of the clan. Of the council. Of everything." Adriel didn't look surprised. He simply shifted closer, placing a gentle hand behind Leon's head and guiding him to rest against his shoulder. "You're allowed to be scared," he murmured. "You just don't have to be scared alone." Leon closed his eyes as the steady rhythm of Adriel's breathing steadied his own. "You won't change your mind?" Leon asked quietly. "Even if they pressure you? Even if it gets harder?" Adriel's hand slid to the back of Leon's neck, thumb brushing softly under the hairline. "I've waited too long for you," he said, voice low but certain. "I'm not letting go now, not when you finally let me into your heart." Leon swallowed hard, emotion rising again. "I didn't mean to make you chase me," Leon whispered. Adriel's chest rumbled with a soft half-laugh. "Leon, I would cross continents to find you. One bridge isn't going to stop me." Leon nudged him weakly. "That's dramatic." "Only because I meant it," Adriel said, pressing a soft kiss to Leon's temple. Leon melted into it. For a long moment, they sat quietly, Leon tucked against Adriel's side, Adriel's arm wrapped securely around him. Eventually Adriel spoke again, this time with hesitant softness. "There's something I want to show you." Leon blinked. "What?" Adriel stood and held out his hand. Leon took it, timid but trusting, and followed him down the short hallway to a closed door. Adriel opened it slowly. Leon gasped. Inside was a room. Soft lighting. A bookshelf with titles Leon loved. A desk with new stationery. A bed with navy sheets. A window facing the sunrise. A small plant on the sill, barely alive but clearly being cared for. "It's a bedroom," Leon whispered. Adriel nodded, suddenly shy, something extremely rare for him. "For you," he said quietly. Leon's heart skipped. "I thought," Adriel exhaled. "If you ever felt ready, you'd have a place here. With me. Safe. Comfortable. Yours." Leon stepped inside slowly. Tears pricked at his eyes. "You made a space for me." "For a long time now," Adriel confessed softly. Leon turned, voice breaking. "Adriel? I don't know what to say." Adriel closed the distance between them, placing his hands gently on Leon's waist. "Say you'll stay," he whispered. "Even if it's just for tonight. Even if it's just until the sun comes up. Stay because you want to, not because you feel obligated." Leon's hands curled into Adriel's shirt. "I want to stay," he whispered. Adriel's breath hitched, just once, before he pulled Leon into a full embrace, holding him tightly, almost reverently. "Then this is home," Adriel murmured into his hair. Leon's chin trembled. With you. Adriel kissed the top of his head. With me. Leon closed his eyes and breathed, deeply, peacefully, for the first time in years. And maybe it was the warmth of the room. Or the gentle way Adriel's fingers traced patterns on his back. Or the soft, unspoken promise in the air. But Leon felt something shift inside him. Something unguarded. Something whole. Something that felt a lot like freedom. He whispered into Adriel's chest. I think I found my home. Adriel tightened his hold, voice trembling. So did I. The sunlight slipped quietly through the half-open blinds. It touched the floor, the couch, the soft folds of the blanket, and Leon. He stirred slowly, eyelids fluttering open. Adriel's arm was draped loosely around him, holding him close but not tightly, just enough to keep him anchored. Leon blinked at the morning light, at the softness of Adriel's face as he slept, the peacefulness in his expression that seemed almost impossible after everything they'd been through. A small, warm laugh escaped Leon. God, you make even sleeping look impossible to hate, he murmured softly. Adriel stirred, a low groan of acknowledgement, eyes still half closed. Impossible to hate, he repeated sleepily, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. I like that you say that while still holding onto my shirt like a life raft. Leon buried his face in Adriel's chest, muffling his laugh. I can't help it, he whispered. It smells like you. Adriel hummed, stretching slowly, one arm slipping fully around Leon. You smell like safe, he murmured back. Like I'm home. Leon froze for a heartbeat, heart hammering. Safe. Home. Words he hadn't let himself hope for in years. Leon started, then stopped, unsure if his voice could hold the weight of what he wanted to say. Adriel tilted his head, brushing a lazy kiss over Leon's temple. Shoo, he said softly. You don't have to explain. Not yet. Just stay here. Feel this. Feel us. Leon let out a shaky breath and relaxed against him, finally allowing himself to sink into the moment. For once there was no storm. No chaos. No clan pressure. No doubts. Just the two of them, wrapped in the quiet intimacy of morning. They stayed like that for a long while. Leon's fingers traced patterns over Adriel's chest. Adriel's hand rested on Leon's head, rubbing gently. The sound of their breathing, the warmth of their bodies, and the soft golden light of the sun filled the room with a sense of peace neither had thought possible. After some time, Leon whispered, barely audible. I think I finally understand what you meant. Home isn't a place. This, you. Adriel smiled, nuzzling closer. And you are my home, Leon. Leon laughed softly, his forehead resting against Adriel's. Guess we're both home then. Adriel's thumb brushed over Leon's cheek and he whispered. Always. The morning stretched lazily around them. No words were needed anymore. No fears, no doubts, no pressure. Just the quiet, steady heartbeat of two people who had found each other, finally. And for the first time in years, Leon felt truly safe. And for the first time Adriel felt whole. They held each other, letting the sunlight spill over them, letting the world wait outside. Because right here, right now this was everything.